Hello there, Commonwealth from here, and welcome to October, as we're just a calendar move away from Age of Imprisonment on Thursday, November 4th. And with it, the marketing will enter a brand new phase for this game. Yes, with more trailers and gameplay, but that alone, based on a number of different factors, might not be enough to sell this game to a satisfying level. Luckily, this is where there's a major chance for a Nintendo Switch 2 eShop demo for this game. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell. Because most of all, this is a perfect opportunity to present 60 frames per second Hyrule Warriors. We haven't had a Switch 2 edition for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which already obviously has a demo on the Nintendo Switch eShop. Why would we then have a demo for this game? Well, for one, it's the new Zelda release of 2025. The other reason is we had a demo for Age of Calamity in the same month as this one 5 years ago, and we got it in the last 2020 Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase on October 28th, no doubt the best one of the bunch. And it concluded in a very grand way with the great Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity blowout. A jam-packed trailer introducing so much, and most of all, the 4 divine beasts in action. Yeah, the precursor probably to the Link construct in Age of Imprisonment. Though, what was special was that it was immediately followed by the announcement of one of the longest demos in Nintendo history, at least to that point. Playing Age of Calamity, well, at least a part of it, on the same day as that Direct. It was a genius marketing move that could absolutely be repeated in this month, since we had the general Nintendo Direct in September, the last partner showcase was in July. Just saying. And by doing so, Nintendo allowed us to play through the opening arc of Age of Calamity, the full first 2 story missions, before recruiting the champions and a few side challenges, plus playing around with the hub map of pre-Calamity Hyrule. But even then, that wasn't all, because we also had save data transfer. Simple as that, you play to this point, save it, and then that becomes your new starting point when you get the full game come launch day in November. More importantly, what did the demo of Age of Calamity do? It confirmed pretty much that that game would be non-canon. All because Terraka flew out of that window through that portal and started changing things in this new timeline. But this game is canon, and that canonicity has been repeated over and over again. This demo could confirm it once and for all. And a big deal with Age of Imprisonment and the trailers is matching the memories frame by frame from Tears of the Kingdom, making us see this is exactly the same as it was in that game. You don't take a first official Warriors inclusion into the, let's be honest, only The Legend of Zelda game's Zelda timeline lightly. This is a great honor for Koei Tecmo, and they know it. Only Grezzo and Capcom have to this point been bestowed with this possibility. In other words, I wouldn't be surprised if they are very proud of it and would include it in the demo, and thus giving us what we have always wanted, going from these canon cutscenes into actual gameplay. First walking with the characters, telling us a story or about a setting, and then going into the Warriors taking down 1000 enemies scenario, before moving on to the next one and next one, because the loading times on Nintendo Switch 2 are pretty much non-existent. Now, of course, Age of Imprisonment is launching over 2 weeks before Age of Calamity launched. And that means that we could actually be very, and I mean very close to a demo announcement from Nintendo and Koei Tecmo. Because in that case, it happened on October 28th. The game came out on November 20th. 3 weeks, guys. 3 weeks. So I'm not gonna say right out that the demo is coming next week, as of the upload of this video, but there's a possibility. And why would Koei Tecmo then pull this demo card again? Well, it's not the first time they are doing it. And Age of Calamity isn't the only time they have done it. And why does Koei Tecmo do it? For one, they are not as big as Nintendo, they cannot live just on reputation. And secondly, this is just brilliant marketing. Since there is no more direct way of testing a game than giving a free playable demo around 1 month prior to release. Probably 3 weeks or maybe even less in the case of Age of Imprisonment, since, well, we are getting close to that point. But most of all, this game has not been able to have its own spotlight, if you want. It has been clinched in between 2 big releases. One is the biggest release in October, so this month, with Pokemon Legends EA on October 16th, and the second being Kirby Air Riders, coming out 2 weeks after Age of Imprisonment on November 20th. As a result, Age of Imprisonment has not been allowed to shine on its own. We have had multiple trailers for Age of Imprisonment, but the views on those have not exactly been the best. Let me explain. This game has had trailers in every Nintendo Direct title direct that has been tied to Nintendo Switch 2, and still, despite all of this, the interest for the game is simply not there. Yes, the game was playable with a demo and we got gameplay from Tokyo Game Show in the end of September, as Zelda Muso as it's called in Japan. But in that case, it was only limited to attendees and barely covered online. We only got very few examples of direct footage from Tokyo Game Show. And there was no live stream. There was no gameplay live stream where Koei Tecmo themselves demonstrated it. There was no new trailer, no organized gameplay, which stands in contrast to what we saw with Age of Calamity in 2020. So does that mean no demo as well? I don't think so, because I think Koei Tecmo and Nintendo are aware that Age of Imprisonment is struggling, even compared to games like Kirby Air Riders and other spin-offs. Yes, it is a Zelda spin-off, but this game is struggling to even reach close to the numbers of Age of Calamity. They're nowhere near what we saw in 2020. And that can be measured by one single metric, namely that not a single video uploaded on this game by Nintendo or Koei Tecmo thus far has surpassed 1 million views. This game needs all the positive marketing it can get, and a free demo that can reach millions instead of a trailer that reaches, say, 200,000 or 300,000 people is exactly what Nintendo and Koei Tecmo should be targeting. And luckily, with Nintendo IPs, we have never missed a Warriors demo in the Switch era. Yes, we had Age of Calamity in October 2020, but we also had Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes with its free demo, that one in June 2022, and with an incredible 13 hours of free content. Naturally, an Age of Imprisonment demo will likely not have such a length, but I think we can expect 1.5 hours of content like we saw with Age of Calamity, and I think that is absolutely possible. So what kind of content would this be? Demonstrating pretty much everything that this game is promising and also standing out from Age of Calamity. Most of all, no loading screen with text where you have a narration detailing the story in between. Instead, you have these walking sections that we got a very good demonstration of during Tokyo Game Show and the gameplay that came out there. But a very particular scene of when Zelda arrives on the Old Grey Plateau, the capital of the newly founded Kingdom of Hyrule, we haven't seen much of that since the first reveal trailer on April 2nd. What is more fitting than giving us a demo of right this? And then the first battle, tutorial, side missions, long before we get to the position of going down to the depths, Nintendo and Koei Tecmo could in many ways replicate the success of the demo from 2020. And even surpass it by showing that this game is running in proper 60 frames per second. They have already been promoting, multiplayer gameplay, even with game share from Nintendo Switch 2 to Nintendo Switch, just like we have seen in the case of Donkey Kong Bonanza. And speaking of Donkey Kong Bonanza, that was the first brand new Nintendo Switch 2 game to get a proper demo. Yes, it came out after release, but Donkey Kong Bonanza was one of the two big ones. After Mario Kart World in June, you had Donkey Kong Bonanza in July. But if you want to reach to the casual gamer, the average Nintendo Switch 2 owner, and let's be honest, there aren't as many of them yet as we had Switch owners in late 2020. In other words, if you want this game to sell over 1 million copies, you better get Age of Imprisonment demo on the Nintendo Switch 2. And that's why I'm saying this demo should be expected and has one such a chance that will make A, people more hyped for the full game, and B, more likely to spend the $70 USD and more even likely pre-order the game if they haven't already. Because that is what demos are for. Give a taste, give a hook, and then, after that, get a sale. And that is exactly what Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Nintendo and Koei Tecmo needs when they are bringing the 60 frames per second revolution in up to upscale 4K. But what do you think? Do you think Age of Imprisonment will be getting a demo just like Age of Calamity, so Hyrule Warriors or Zelda Muso, and Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes? Sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell, and for all notifications. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching to the very end, and to all our patreon.com/commonrealm patrons. Special shoutouts go to Heroes, Hyrule, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf, and Kintaro. You all rock, and please enjoy these awesome videos.